The city of New York has always served as the ultimate theater for human ambition, a towering metropolis where the boundaries between reality and spectacle are constantly blurred by the sheer scale of the events that transpire within its crowded avenues. On any given day, the millions of individuals who navigate the dense grid of Manhattan are accustomed to a certain level of chaotic energy, treating the constant influx of global travelers, massive public celebrations, and high-profile arrivals as mere background noise to the rhythm of their daily lives. Yet, there are rare moments in the history of the city when a singular rumor, whispered across digital networks and dissected by millions of eager observers, possesses enough gravity to alter the physical and emotional landscape of the entire population. As the heat of the summer begins to settle over the concrete canyons, a palpable sense of anticipation and underlying tension has started to grip the five boroughs, driven not by the typical rhythms of urban life, but by an unfolding mystery that threatens to collide directly with one of the most sacred holiday weekends of the year. The delicate balance between the privacy of world-renowned figures and the public infrastructure of a massive city is being tested in ways that have left ordinary citizens, local business owners, and city officials alike bracing for an unprecedented storm of attention and logistical complexity. To understand the magnitude of the intrigue currently enveloping the city, must first look at the unique cultural ecosystem where hyper-celebrity meets the intense, uncompromising spirit of the average New Yorker. In an era dominated by instantaneous communication, the public has transformed into a collective army of amateur detectives, scrutinizing every public appearance, every casual gesture, and every administrative filing in an attempt to piece together the private blueprints of individuals who operate on a completely different social stratosphere. When figures of monumental global influence establish a presence in Manhattan, their movements are rarely treated as isolated incidents, but rather as pieces of a grander narrative that the world is desperate to decipher. For weeks, the digital sphere has been awash with endless theories and speculative timelines, creating a feedback loop where even the most minor observation is amplified into a matter of urgent public interest. This relentless scrutiny has generated a unique atmosphere of suspense across Midtown Manhattan, as the realization begins to dawn on the public that something truly monumental is being organized behind closed doors. Hidden just beneath the surface of the city's usual summer preparations, as we continue to peel back the layers of this fascinating urban mystery and explore the growing friction between everyday life and the world of ultimate fame, it is essential to remain connected to the full trajectory of this rapidly evolving story. If you want to ensure that you never miss a single detail, update, or deep dive into the major cultural events defining our world today, please take a quick moment to hit the subscribe button and join our growing community of insightful viewers. The narrative unfolding right now in the heart of the city is a prime example of how quickly the mood of a metropolis can shift from collective adoration to deep logistical anxiety. Just a short week ago, the atmosphere surrounding these beloved public figures was one of unbridled joy and community celebration, as they were spotted immersing themselves in the local sports culture and cheering alongside thousands of passionate fans during a thrilling postseason basketball victories that seemed to unite the entire city in a shared moment of euphoria. That brief period of harmonious celebration, however, has rapidly given way to a much more complicated sentiment as the whispers regarding their long-term personal plans have begun to take on a concrete and potentially disruptive shape. The transition from casual public interest to widespread logistical panic underscores the growing divide between the lives of the ultra-wealthy and the thousands of ordinary citizens who depend on the uninterrupted flow of the city to maintain their livelihoods. For the average person commuting through the heart of Manhattan, the daily routine is already a complex choreograph of navigating crowded transit hubs, enduring endless construction, and managing the natural delays of a city operating at maximum capacity. When rumors begin to circulate that major public spaces and vital transportation corridors might be compromised for the sake of a private event, the initial romanticism of a high-profile romance quickly erodes into a sense of profound frustration. The collective consciousness of the cities is currently grappling with the ethical and practical implications of allowing private spectacles to dictate the movement of the public, especially during a time frame when New York is already hosting a massive volume of international tourists for major global sports tournaments and traditional national celebrations. This gathering storm of public opinion and administrative mystery has set the stage for a dramatic confrontation between the desires of global icons and the rigid realities of urban management. Every corner of Midtown, from the bustling shopping districts to the subterranean train platforms, is vibrating with a nervous energy as people attempt to separate verified fact from wild speculation. The rumors have grown so loud that they can no longer be ignored by the traditional institutions of journalism or the executive offices of city government, both of which are finding themselves forced to address a situation that feels entirely unprecedented in its scope. As the days tick closer to the dates in question, the intrigue only deepens, leaving an entire metropolis suspended in a state of uneasy wonder about what the coming days will look like when the curtain is finally pulled back on this massive cultural event. The stage is officially set, the players are in position, and the city of New York finds itself waiting on the precipice of a spectacle that will either be remembered as a historic moment of urban magic or one of the most controversial disruptions in modern memory. The shifting atmosphere from vague speculation to profound logistical alarm reached a critical boiling point when the nation's most respected journalistic institution stepped into the fray to provide concrete validation to the whispers. The New York Times officially confirmed a series of administrative maneuvers that converted wild internet theories into a looming reality for millions of residents. According to investigative reports and municipal records unearthed by the outlet, the grand designs for this monumental private ceremony are centered directly upon New York City's legendary Madison Square Garden. This massive sports and entertainment arena, which sits squarely on top of Penn Station, one of the busiest transportation hubs in the entire Western Hemisphere, is apparently being converted into the focal point for a multi-day matrimonial extravaganza. The sheer audacity of choosing a venue that serves as the literal beating heart of transit for hundreds of thousands of daily commuters has sent shockwaves through the community, turning what should have been a joyous occasion into an intense public debate regarding the limits of wealth, influence, and civic accommodation in the modern era. The true extent of the tension, however, reaches far beyond the walls of the famous arena itself, bleeding directly onto the heavily congested asphalt of Midtown Manhattan. Official records indicate that a formal permit was filed directly with New York City municipal agencies to completely shut down the vital thoroughfares surrounding Madison Square Garden starting on the 2nd of July and extending all the way until the midday hours of July 4th. This administrative revelation, confirmed by multiple individuals possessing intimate knowledge of the ongoing city planning, means that multiple blocks of prime Manhattan real estate will be entirely removed from public use for nearly 3 full days. The timing of this requested closure could not possibly be more volatile, as it aligns perfectly with the traditionally chaotic 4th of July holiday weekend. During this specific window, the city is already pushed to its absolute limits, dealing with a massive influx of domestic and international tourists who flock to the metropolis for iconic fireworks displays, holiday shopping, and sightseeing. Furthermore, the city's infrastructure is already straining under the massive burden of hosting concurrent global events related to the FIFA World Cup, creating a perfect storm of human density and traffic gridlock. The immediate reaction from the public, particularly from the fiercely protective and easily irritated community of native New Yorkers, has been a mixture of absolute disbelief, sharp sarcasm, and deep-seated fury. As news of the potential street closures and the arena bookings spread across digital platforms, social media quickly transformed into a battlefield of public opinion, reflecting the deep cultural divide between celebrity obsession and the cold realities of everyday urban survival. Many ordinary citizens took to their profiles to express their intense frustration, arguing that a single billionaire couple should not possess the administrative leverage to actively inconvenience tens of thousands of normal people who are simply trying to navigate their normal lives and run their local businesses on a major holiday weekend. The criticism has been remarkably raw and unvarnished, with prominent voices labeling the entire concept of a massive stadium wedding as an incredibly tacky gauche, an inconsequential spectacle that represents the worst impulses of modern hyper-celebrity. The specific geography of the planned event has added a massive amount of fuel to the fire, as the proposed closures target 34th Street, which serves as one of the most critical commercial hubs and shopping districts in the entire city, as well as the immediate vicinity of Penn Station. Commuters and transit advocates have been particularly vocal in their condemnation, wondering how city officials could possibly justify compromising the area surrounding a critical train station during a major holiday travel window. Longtime fans of the pop icon have found themselves torn, with some admitting that while they have happily spent hundreds of dollars to see her perform on stage in the past, the idea of shutting down the heart of a major global city for a private wedding feels like an unacceptable disgrace and an abuse of cultural power. The sentiment that the city is being actively converted into a private romantic comedy for two incredibly wealthy individuals has resonated deeply across the 5 boroughs, igniting a serious conversation about whether the municipal government is receiving a fair financial compensation for this massive disruption or if public space is simply being surrendered to the highest bidder amidst the overwhelming wave of public backlash. A distinct and fiercely loyal faction of supporters has risen up to defend the couple's right to their monumental celebration, viewing the upcoming event not as an administrative nightmare but as a historic cultural milestone. For these enthusiastic defenders, the union of a global pop phenomenon and an elite professional football champion represents nothing less than America's equivalent of a royal wedding, making the choice of Madison Square Garden entirely appropriate as their modern civic castle. They argue that the complaints regarding traffic and crowd congestion are ultimately short-sighted, predicting that the streets will inevitably be packed to absolute capacity with thousands of cheering spectators, fans, and well-wishers eager to witness history as the wedding party makes its grand processional up 8th Avenue. Optimistic entrepreneurs and casual observers within this camp are already looking for ways to capitalize on the massive gathering, suggesting that enterprising locals should prepare to rent out camping chairs and sell cold refreshments to the captive audience, transforming a potential logistical disaster into a vibrant, high-energy street festival that celebrates the intersection of pop culture and athletic royalty. As the debate rages across neighborhoods and online forums, the actual machinery of the city has begun the slow, heavy process of preparing for the potential onslaught. The New York Police Department has found itself caught directly in the middle of this cultural storm, tasked with balancing public safety against the unpredictable behavior of massive crowds. Law enforcement sources have quietly confirmed that rank-and-file officers throughout Midtown precincts have already received formal warnings regarding the immense operational challenges associated with the July 3rd timeline. Leadership within the department is acutely aware that the mere rumor of such a high-profile gathering is enough to draw thousands of intense fans and celebrity stalkers to an area that is already severely congested under normal circumstances. The tactical challenge of securing a massive, transparent urban environment while keeping transit lines open beneath the arena is creating a highly stressful environment for city planners, who must prepare for every possible scenario, from peaceful throngs of spectators to severe logistical paralysis that could ripple outward across the entire tri-state transportation network. The tension is no longer confined to the internet. It is now etched into the daily briefings of the men and women responsible for holding the city together. The ripple effect of this potential high-society gathering has extended far beyond the immediate neighborhood of Midtown Manhattan, ascending all the way to the highest corridors of municipal power at Gracie Mansion, the official residence of the city's leadership. In a recent and highly anticipated press conference that was originally scheduled to address routine urban development and summer administrative policies, New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani found himself directly confronted by a press corps eager for clarity on the unfolding situation. Rather than dismissing the inquiries as mere tabloid speculation, the city's chief executive chose to address the matter with a carefully measured blend of diplomatic grace and civic hospitality, offering his sincere well wishes for a lovely wedding ceremony to the high-profile couple. This official acknowledgement from the very top of the city's government has added an immense layer of gravity to the ongoing narrative, signaling to the public that whether these plans are an elaborate logistical reality or a masterfully coordinated piece of misdirection, the municipal apparatus is taking the potential impact on the city's daily operations incredibly seriously. To fully understand why this moment carries such unprecedented weight, one must examine the extraordinary journeys of the two individuals at the center of this cultural phenomenon, whose individual trajectories have converged to create a modern narrative of unparalleled influence. Taylor Swift has spent more than 2 decades systematically redefining the boundaries of the global music industry, evolving from a young, introspective acoustic storyteller into an absolute economic and cultural superpower capable of shifting local economies and dominating global headlines with a single creative announcement. Her career has been defined by an uncanny ability to forge an intense, deeply personal emotional connection with millions of fans across generations, turning her artistic eras into shared cultural movements that transcend traditional entertainment boundaries. On the other side of this historic partnership stands Travis Kelce, a transcendent athlete who has secured his place among the absolute greatest to ever play his position in the history of professional American football. As a multi-time champion and a foundational pillar of a modern sports dynasty, his charisma, fierce competitive drive, and larger-than-life personality have allowed him to break out of the traditional confines of the sports world and become a massive mainstream cultural icon in his own right. When these two distinct worlds of global pop stardom and elite professional sports collided, the resulting synergy created an unprecedented media ecosystem that has captivated the public imagination for over a year. Every public appearance, from the luxury suites of professional football stadiums to casual dates in quiet coastal towns, has been analyzed with a level of scrutiny usually reserved for major geopolitical events. This monumental level of fame means that ordinary, conventional life milestones, such as a wedding ceremony, can no longer be executed within the traditional parameters of privacy. The sheer scale of their collective fan bases means that any venue chosen for their union must inherently double as a fortress capable of managing thousands of well-wishers and media outlets. The choice of Madison Square Garden, an arena globally recognized as the world's most famous stage, represents a poetic culmination of their shared public narrative. Bridging the world of historic musical performances with the arena of legendary athletic achievements in a way that no other physical structure on Earth could possibly replicate, however. The lingering question that continues to fascinate both devoted fans and skeptical urban analysts is whether this entire administrative trail is a brilliantly executed piece of theatrical misdirection designed to protect their true, intimate plans from the prying eyes of the world. Throughout her illustrious career, the pop icon has proven herself to be an absolute master of narrative control, frequently utilizing elaborate puzzles, hidden clues, and strategic public maneuvers to keep both the media and her audience guessing about her next major move. It is entirely within the realm of possibility that the high-profile permit filings, the rumors of Madison Square Garden bookings, and the public warnings distributed to law enforcement are part of a sophisticated smokescreen intended to draw the mass media and public attention to the crowded streets of Manhattan, while the actual private ceremony takes place in an entirely different, highly secluded location far away from the cameras. This layer of psychological intrigue has only heightened the fascination surrounding the entire event, turning the city itself into a living canvas for a grand game of cultural chess where the true outcome remains entirely shrouded in mystery, whether the rapidly approaching July weekend brings a historic, star-studded processional through the heart of Midtown Manhattan or reveals a masterfully coordinated diversion that leaves the arena completely silent. The city of New York is actively demonstrating its unique capacity to serve as the ultimate backdrop for contemporary mythology. The ongoing clash of perspectives between frustrated commuters who fear logistical paralysis and enthusiastic supporters who view the event as America's ultimate royal wedding perfectly encapsulates the dual nature of life in a premier global metropolis. New York is a place that belongs simultaneously to the ordinary people who keep its gears turning every single day and to the extraordinary legends who seek its grandest stages to solidify their legacy. As the final countdown toward the historic holiday weekend begins, the world remains utterly transfixed by this unfolding urban drama, waiting to see how this unprecedented intersection of hyper-celebrity public infrastructure and grand romance will ultimately resolve itself under the bright lights of the city that never sleeps.